start this tutorial by just creating a simple e-commerce shop. And we'll just use the standard setup as we would normally do. And then we will transform our app in such a way so that we have nested attributes. I think this way it's also much more easier for you to understand what they are really for and when to use them and when not to use them and things like that, because I think that's also very important to understand this part. Not only how to implement them to your app, but also why you should use them and why they are useful sometimes. So I am already inside my folder. I will just create this quickly a new project, and we will use Rails 5 for this project. And here I will just say nested shop. All right. And let's head over to RubyGems, and then for this tutorial we need jQuery. So let's just take the first result and let's copy that to the clipboard, and then let's click on documentation. And where should be already finished. There we go. I will see D2E project. So nested shop, and then I will open up the text editor and quickly just paste the jQuery Rails to a gem file. So there we go, and then we just paste it in like so. And then let's save the file, and then we need to run bundle install. And then on the documentation page from jQuery Rails, we need to copy these two lines here and paste them inside app, assets, JavaScripts, and then application.js. Make sure to paste it between the turbo links and the required tier like so. Alright, with that we are ready to go to use jQuery. So now let's start creating our model. So in this case, I will just create a product via scaffold and give it a title and maybe a description. We just will leave out the price to make things not too complex. Again, this is just like an example so that you can easily or more easily understand what nested attributes are. So let's hit enter. And then let's head over to Router.rb. Let's wait just a moment until Rails is finished. Right, then let's run Rails db migrate. And then let's head over to Router.rb. In here, I will just set the root quickly to products index. All right. Now let's start the server and let's see what we got so far. Okay, so with that we can create a new product, give it a title. Just a gun, and the description is dangerous. Create product. So we have created successfully our product. Very simple, but it works, right? So let's create a new product, and let's call this one t-shirt. And then very high quality for the description. Create product. And so we have create just another product. And so we have now a t-shirt with the description very high quality. All right, everything's working. I've created two different items now for our shop. Now, what if we have, for example, a t-shirt with a black color and a t-shirt with a yellow color and maybe a t-shirt with a green color? How do we add this to our database or to our item database? Well, in this case, we need to create some kind of variant that we can use. And with that, I will shut down the server and create another scaffold quickly. So Rails G scaffold, and let's call it product variant. In this one, we'll have, for example, a color attribute and maybe, I don't know, a size attribute. And then make sure to add product references as well. Okay, so that we have a connection to our product. Okay, once that is finished, let's run Rails db migrate. And then I will head over quickly to our product model. And here we just add the has many products. Okay, now when I start the server and head over to Locust 3000 products product underscore variants, we can now create a new product variant, right? I can now say, for example, the color white, size is, I don't know, 45, and the product is, in this case, the second product. Actually, in this way, with this setup, we would need like a drop down so we can choose the product that we want to, where we want to add this variant. Yeah, but since I know that we only have like 2 items in our database and the second item is the t-shirt, I simply add here just the number 2. Obviously, that's not a setup you want to use in production or even in development, but for our purpose or for this example, I think it's fine. So let's click here on create product, and now we have done that. So if I shut down the server and say raise C and then get the second product, so P equals to product second, and then let's say P dot product variants. Make sure to change this here from products to product variants. Okay, my mistake. Yeah, now it should work. So product variants. Let's exit the console so that Raise recognizes the changes we made. And I think with that we should be ready to go. So product second and then P variant product underscore variants, and there we go. We have our first variant that is now associated with this product. Okay, so we have one variant, color white, size 45, product ID, and so on. So if I head over now to the show page of the products page, we can add this here pretty much. So we can say, first let me change quickly this here to HTML so I can use Emmet. And then let's say here quickly, maybe strong available. I think I misspelled the products, and actually it's not variants. And then we can add here simply a loop and say, yeah, add product variants, each do variants. Let's close this here quickly. And then we can simply add here maybe the color and then the variant size. Okay, so now make sure to leave the console and restart the server. We should be able to see for each product that has a product variant, the variant on the product side itself. So if I head over to products, hit enter, and choose the second product, you see we have now 5 variants, and we could like add also a number here and say, could say add product variants count. Okay, so we have now number 1, and so let's remove the loop here from the paragraph tag, and let's create here a separate one and paste it in here. Okay, so I can now get over to product variants and create here another one, and this one is maybe color yellow and size is maybe 9, and the product is still the second product. So create product variant, and again, if I head over now to our main page and click here and show, you see we have now 2 variants, the white one and the yellow ones. And again, to separate this more, would be actually nice to remove this here and paste it here at the top, so that we have for each variant like an own paragraph tag. All right, much better. Now you could also add the attributes like color is white and size is 45 and 9 and so on, but I won't do that because I won't bother with stuff like that for this tutorial. You probably get the idea, right? We can now create for the product variants, and this works. It works just fine. Like, you could do it this way. Like, there's no real rule that says, hey, this is wrong. But what if, for example, we want to have a setup where I can say a new product and then have here kind of like also the ability right in the beginning to create also variants, right? Because when I create products, let's say I have in my warehouse 10 t-shirts and I have like 5 black t-shirts, 3 white t-shirts, and so on. It would be kind of nice to be able to add this here right in the beginning instead of like creating first product and then going to products variants and do that. So this is where nested attributes come in. They give you basically just the ability to add these kind of data right on one page, even though it's from a different model. Okay, if we would use, for example, for this Vue or React or any other modern front end stack like Angular, we will not need to have to bother with that because we would just talk to the API right on the side here. Okay, so there's no rule where we cannot, so there's no rule that specifies where we can talk to the API or not. So in a Vue setup or React setup, we could just add here all these fields and just create this here right and add all these fields and the buttons to create a new product with different variants. We will not need to have to set up here anything or change here anything inside Rails, okay? Because the setup that we currently have would work just fine in an API. But since we are using this, or since we want to do this inside Rails, and since we are using like no API for that, but talk to the browser via HTTP, we need to have like a workaround around this, okay? So that we can load in the model data also on the product side and therefore like push it to the database once we create a new product. Luckily, Rails has already a few functions for that ready for us to use, so we don't really need to hack our way around this. It probably makes now more sense to you why there are nested attributes and when to use them and why to use them and things like that. So let's get started. So the first thing we always need to do in order to make use of nested attributes is to go to the model where we want to inject the attributes. So in this case, our product. And then all we need to do is say accept nested attributes from, and then product variants. And that's all we have to do, okay? With that, Rails knows, okay, we accept something from a different model and we can add that to the database. Now, as you may know, Rails has a whitelist. So that's also very important that you always go next to the products controller and then scroll down here, and then we have here our product params. And now, since we also want to add new attributes to our model when we submit a new product, well, we need to add the product variants. I hope I spelled this correctly because attributes. Yeah, and then we just need to add here the ID in an array and the title, or in this case the color, and then we also had the size. Okay. All right. So with that, we have whitelisted the ID, the color, and the size of the product variants, and therefore we are able to push that to our database when we create a new product. So now that we have done this, the next step is to head over to our form. So underscore form, make sure to choose the products one. And then down here, under the description, we can create a new field here. And then inside here, I can say form fields for, and then I can say product variants do, and then we can use a builder or any variable you prefer, and then we can close that. And then we can add here our form. So we can use builder and then color or text field for the color, and then I can also add a builder for the size. And that's it. We don't need to add here any button or whatsoever, because this will be automatically submitted when we submit our form here. And make sure to also change this here from at the top from form width to form for, and then simply product. Okay. This way we are on the safe side, because this is like the standard setup, and form width is something that was introduced in Rails 5, I think, and it's something new, and with that you need to have a workaround because a few things have changed. So I always use form for because it's like pretty much the same and it works just fine. Okay, so we have done that. Now when I head over to the app again and refresh now here our page, you see we get undefined methods accepts nested attributes from. I misspelled that, I guess. Accepts. Oh, right, it's not from, it's for. So let me quickly change that here. Right. Now it should work. All right, there we go. Now we got our form. We have no errors whatsoever, but we don't see our builder here. Right, if I go here to form again, you see it's empty. So why is that so? Well, the problem currently is that we need to tell Rails that we have these product variants and they are connected to your product. So back to our products controller, here where it says show, or here where it says new, let's add here a new product variable, and let's say product variants build. Okay, so now we have two variables, and so here at the new method, let's just say product variants dot build. This way Rails knows, okay, we have the connection to the product variants and we want to create a new record for that. So back to our app, we see we have now the two additional forms, and to make this more obvious for you, let's add here also quickly for them a label. So builder, label, and then color, and then the same for the size. So with that we get now for them these two labels, and there we go. We have now here our form from our product variants, and when I create now for example I don't know, maybe a cap, very nice. And the color from this one, the first one I want to create is just maybe brown, and the size is, I don't know, 9. And let's click create product, and there we go. We just create a new product with the title, the description, the FA variance of 1, and then we have here our first color and the size. So obviously we are pretty much finished that, because that's all you need to know about nested attributes. It just works, right? And if I head over to edit, you see we can change our form and our color and things like that. So if I update that, you see I update the color, and yeah, pretty much everything is working. So yeah, that would be pretty much everything you would need to know about nested attributes. But now there's the question, what if I want to create a new product but I have multiple color and sizes? Because with our current setup we can only create one variant, right? I can only create this here once, and if I would need to create like more variants, I would need to go then to the products variants path and create their new variants for the specific product. But obviously that's not really convenient. It would be nice to have some kind of button here so that we can click on that, and whenever we do that, it should create a new form with the color and size. Okay, so let's do this as well. So in order to be able to do that, we need to set up a few things, and this is probably the part that most people find the difficult, but it's more like a practice thing, that if you repeat this a few times, it becomes really easy. It's Actually, pretty much straightforward, just like many things inside Rails. So let's get started. Let's close here everything. And the first thing that you always need to do if you want to have nested forms inside your app is to refactor your code base. Okay, so here where we have the form fields for the product variants, what you need to do is always create a new file and then simply call this one product variants and then underscore fields HTML ERB. Okay, and then we take this here, copy that, cut that out, and then just paste it here inside the product variant partial. And then inside the form, we render the partial. So we say render and then product variant fields. And then we pass down also the variable so that we have access to that. And if I head over back to the app and create a new product, you see everything is still working, nothing really has changed. Okay, so we just refactored our code. We didn't change or added additional code to our base. Now, since we have done this, we need now some kind of method so that we can add, whenever we click on a link, a new form for the variant. Okay, so a common way to do that is to go down here and create a link to add fields. Then we need to add like a string. So in this case, let's just call it add variant. Then we need to pass down the form, and the form is taken from here. Okay, so there's this variable. It's very important that you are outside the form fields for, otherwise it won't work. And then we also add the product variants. Okay, so basically our model, and then make sure to close that. Okay, and so the next step is to create this method because we currently don't have that. So with that, we go to app helper, and then here we can just create the link to add fields. And here we just add all these information that we have given here inside the link. Okay, the first one is the name, the second one is the form, and the third one is the model. Okay, so we simply drop that down. We say name. Then the next one is the form. You could also call it form. It's up to you. I just call it F. And then the last thing is the association. So let's just call it association. And then let's close that. All right. And now we need to create a new object, okay, that we can deal with. And we will grab the object based on the association that we have. So we can say F, and then object send association, and then we can grab the class and say new. Okay, so with that we basically grab whatever kind of model we currently try to access. Okay, and we say, hey, from the form, get the association that we have, which is what we pass down here. And then we say create a new class from that. Okay, so we want to do something new with that. Then we also always need an ID, and luckily we can simply say new object ID. And so we have the ID with that. And then we need to create fields. Okay, and here we can say app fields for, and we just take the form which we pass down here and is taken from there to this here, and we basically create a new fields for, so basically the same that we are doing here. Okay, so fields for, and obviously we want to create fields for the association, just like we do here. So we say fields for product variants, and here we pass down the product variants, and that's why I'm saying fields for association, because inside the association is product variants. Okay, so always 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so association is what we pass here, and therefore we have access to that. Okay, we need to pass down the new object and then a child index of the ID, and that's all. We can now say builder and then close that. Well, and then here we can just render a new form. Here we can say render association to string and then singularize plus the fields, and then we need to pass down the builder, and that's all. Now once we have done this, we always want to create a new link to and the link should go nowhere, so we should just add the route here, and then we add the class add fields, and you will see later on why we do that. And then the last thing is to pass down the data. Here we pass down the ID, and for the fields we just pass down the fields, each sub, and then how do I do again a back quote, and then let's see, how can I get the backlash? There we go. And right, and that's all we have to do. This might look to you confusing if you see this for the first time. This part is pretty obvious. Create a new object from the association, product variants, and then just create or take the ID from the new created object. Okay, and then create the fields form, pass down the link to the fields form. Okay, so this will be returned. Okay, everything else just set up. This here will be then visible. Okay, so in fact, if I go back, since we have added a link to add fields, if I refresh the app now, you will see that we have in fact now the link add variant, but it doesn't work because it just said, hey, render the route, do nothing else. Okay, so obviously we need to do something. Now I will use for this pure JavaScript and jQuery. If you are familiar or if you prefer to use CoffeeScript, you can go to app assets and then to products coffee and type the code inside here, but I'm pretty sure you won't do that because a lot of people don't like coffee as script, me included. So if you want to use JavaScript for that and just pure jQuery without any special syntax, simply go to products, and let me quickly close everything. Simply go to app views products, and then inside you could add this to the new HTML ERB file or also to the underscore form file. It's completely up to you. I will just add this here to the form itself. So let me quickly change this to HTML, and then we need to add a script tag. And then what we are doing here is first off we grab the form like so, and then we say on click. So if we click on the form, we want to do something, and then we need to specify on what we have clicked. So here we say add fields, and then we add a function with the events. And for now, just for the sake of it, so that you understand what is going on, we will console log that and say clicked. So again, we grab the form, and the form is automatically assigned to the class to the form by race. Then we say click, and then jQuery wants to know what we have clicked, and we say add fields. So add fields is inside our form because we added here inside app helper the class add fields. Okay, so I said earlier that I will come back to this again. So we create here this link and added the class add fields, and therefore we can access this. Okay, and then we say function event, and we will use this in just a moment, but for now let's head over. Let's make sure to open up the inspector, refresh the app, and when I click now the link, we should get inside the console the logback, and we get an unexpected token. So let me double check here everything. Yeah, and I forgot here to add a dot. Okay, so that should finally fix this issue. So now when I click here and add variant, so I didn't really change here anything, but it works now. When I click on add variants, I get the console log back. However, there's still syntax error coming from somewhere, but I have literally no idea where it's coming from. So it's never a good thing to just leave it as it is when you get errors like that, but it seems not to really interfere with our app itself and the functionality of our app. So I will for now just ignore that. The clicked at least works. So let's work on our form itself. Let's create here quickly two variables, and the other one is time, and then we will set the time to simply say new date and then get time, so that we have the time assigned to it. And then the same for here, we say new, and then we will grab this, the data and the ID, and then We will close that like so. Okay, so you can just pause the video here and retype that. And once you have done this, we can then go back to your app and restart the server or refresh the app and click on add variant. And for some reason now the error disappeared. So I guess this was some kind of bug because I have no idea where it actually came from. But what's important is that the bug disappeared, which is a very good thing. And now we can add here variants if we click on the button. Okay, so it works just fine. If I refresh the app, it just resets it again. Okay, so that we only have one. If you just want to have like the button here and not our first variant form, you can head over to your text editor and then remove here the render. Okay, if you remove that, the first variant will disappear and you can now only add variants if you click the button. Okay, so if you prefer this setup, feel free to do that. I prefer to have at least one feeds for form whenever I create a new product. And so let's create a new product, t-shirts, very white, and then we will say color white and the size 55. Let's create another one, black, and this one, the size is, I don't know, 30. And then let's click on create product. And now you see we have successfully created product, have a t-shirt that is very white, favorite variants too, and we have two different colors, a white one and a black one with different sizes. And if I click on edit, we can always add new variants or again edit the pre-existing variants that we have. Now, one thing that is currently missing with the setup is we cannot really remove existing variants. Okay, might be that you come to a conclusion that you no longer sell, for example, black t-shirts or white t-shirts and you want to remove that. Currently you can't do that, so let's quickly do this as well. And once we have done this, we will be then finished with the tutorial on how to set up a nested attribute, and with that you have pretty much learned everything you need to know to integrate nested attributes to your app. Okay, so in the last part, let's head over here. We will create another link, and this time we will create the link to each variant, okay? Because here we are rendering every time the specific variant, kind of like an iteration. So here I will add a hidden field and say underscore destroy. This is just a Rails way of doing that. So there's no real need to explain that because it's just the way Rails works. And then we will create a link to. And then we will say remove, and then we will add the class of remove field or fields or field. Let's just call it remove fields, and that's all we have to do. Basically, there's actually one thing I'm missing here, and that is we need to add a route here so that we don't go anywhere once we click this link here. And now what we need to do is to add the script here or inside our form where we render this to remove the specific variant. And this is pretty much the same as this one here, except that we grab the remove fields that we just have created here. Okay, so I would just paste it here in. There we go, and it's just the same as here. We grab the form, add an event listener to click, and it listens to remove fields. So it's very important that you use the exact same name as here. Otherwise jQuery will not know which kind of field we want to access. Then we have the function just like here, and then we get all the inputs from the field we've clicked, and then we are hiding the whole field set. Okay, and with that I can create now a new product and add a description and a size and a color for the first variant. And if I click here on the add variant and add here another one, and let's say I come to a conclusion that actually I just only want to have this single one variant, well then I can click on remove, and so this will remove the variant. All right, and so with that, you have pretty much learned everything you need to know when it comes to nested attributes, how to use them, when to use them. Apparently, I can answer the question if you ask me when you should use them, because it completely depends on what you want to do. But in most cases, if you have like a website or an application where you have, for example, products with a lot of variants and stuff that you need to add additionally, but are separated, but at the same time are also very closely related, then I guess using nested attributes is a great way of achieving that, this kind of responsive user experience. But other than that, it completely depends on what you want to do and what you prefer or what your client prefers. Okay, so yeah, that would be it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, thanks for watching and see you maybe next time. Bye.